14th
14. Yeah,
of
14.
June. Yes. One more week of spring. And I'm John Lee, St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. We got Laura up there. She's our membership chair. And let's see, we got a lot of members here and some guests. Good to see everybody. I guess we could get right started. The only announcements I really got is Tuesday is our main event at the Moolah Shrine Center, and that's going to be with Catherine Davis, you know, our in-house attorney. We do Ask the Attorney first Friday of each month, and she will be there to answer some personal questions. If you got anything, I would highly recommend you show up to ask her, because she's really good. She's a very giving person about answering personal things. And she will be there to fill us in on updates on legislation, all kinds of good stuff. We do, as you know, probably from the last week, we do have some stuff coming up here in St. Louis in particular, starting July 1st with actually the tenants getting free counsel, and that will be limited. It's very interesting on how all that's going to work. And then let's see. We also have Jim Siebert. He's going to talk to us about cleaning and restoration. That's something none of us think about until we think about it, until we got a problem. So he will be there to fill us in on some on what's going on with that. He owns a company, and he's very good about that. As far as letting us know where you want to put your money and where you don't. So next Friday, I personally will not be here. Laura and I, we're going to be at the Missouri Tax Sales Seminar, where Catherine Davis will be one of the speakers. That's an all-day thing. It starts at 8 o'clock. It's in Gladstone, Missouri, which I guess it's north of Kansas City. When we first registered about a month ago, when she first told us about it, they said that they were filled. And then she told us last week they were not filled. So we went ahead and signed up, and we're going out there. So not sure who's going to be hosting yet, but we'll let you know. So, because we're not going to miss a week, we'll figure out something here. So anyway, I think that's all I have. Let's see, Laura, would you like to do our disclaimer so we can just get started here?
Absolutely. Good morning and welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solution or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is Ask the Attorney with Ms. Catherine Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, would anybody like to open up today with anything? See a few smiling faces there. Okay, well, I see Jay up there. I bet you have some money you'd like to give to people. If you'd like to say anything there, feel free to do so.
Probably not give. Maybe.
Well, it's all a gift.
Thank you, John. I'm a private money broker. I fund fix and flips, fix and keeps, and refi and reboot. I also do commercial and commercial and multifamily. Matter of fact, anything that has to do with real estate, I can fund for you, regardless of your credit. So if you need some money, give me a call. I'll be able to help you out. And I'll put my stuff in the chat.
Thank you, Jay. Would you also like to say it verbally so anybody watching the replay could jot that down, please?
Yeah. My phone number is 314-513-1982. And go ahead, give me a call, and I'll be able to help you out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I see Ann Bollinger just joined us. Hi, how are you doing? Hey there.
Hi, John. Doing good.
See ya. Yeah.
I actually do have a question. Does anyone have a recommendation for a Spanish translator?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Is that for a, what does that have to do with in particular, Ann?
Yeah, possible tenant.
Okay. Okay. I know we have one. Now it's not really a tenant, but she's in a sales position, but there is a translator that goes in between us, but I'm not sure how he does that. And I could see if I can find out for him when I talk to him next week.
Great. Thank you, John.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything for Ann there? I know you can use Google translations, but it's not quite the same if you got to go back and forth all the time like that.
Yeah, we were doing that. And that's all good and fine, and might possibly move towards the next step of the application. But then when it comes to the lease, I would like them to know what they're signing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great idea to have somebody that can really clarify that for you. I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah. Because one thing I do know that with any of the translations, because I have some people that I chat with around the world in different languages, make sure if you do use the translation, you go back and double check it, how it comes across in their language. Because some of the translations have different meanings, I found out, and they're not always what you think they are. So that's a great question though, and that's something we could all use at different times, I know. So let us know how you progress with that, Ann, and we'll definitely put the word out for you.
Will do.
Would you like to share your contact information on how somebody could get a hold of you if they do have a translator?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And if you don't mind doing it, verbally also, maybe not in Spanish, or maybe in Spanish if you know it, but
My contact information, phone number 775-230-3297.
all right, thank you.
775-230-3297.
Nice. Very good.
And look out, you got somebody lurking over your shoulder too.
Yeah. Yeah, and because I can speak a little bit, but yeah, between my English and Google Translate, we made it so far yesterday.
All I know is cerveza and siesta.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I took 1 year of Spanish 2 different times back in like 8th grade and 10th grade. So I can't even put a sentence together anymore. All right. Anybody have anything they want to buy or sell today? We just came off of the last chance to pay your taxes up if you're going to the first, second, or third year tax sale here in Missouri. And I'm looking forward to see what all the attorneys have to say next week at the seminar we're going to. That'll be very interesting because I know we have there are some national speakers going to be there. And Catherine Davis is actually the one that brought it up to our attention. And I know a couple other people that are pretty far into that will be there. So it's kind of funny because if you're a regular person like us, an investor, it's $75 per person to join. If you're an attorney, it's $150 to join to attend the seminar. And if you're a government employee, it's $0 to attend. So I don't know what all the differences are, but it'll be real interesting to meet with those guys.
John, what is that seminar next week?
It's the Missouri tax sale seminar, it's called. It's in Gladstone. I could put a link in there if you want. I know we shared it before when we found out Kathy was going to be a speaker. Just not just only to support her, but also I know tax sales is one of the things that I'm always interested in. Because we've done a lot of things. We've never been to an actual tax sale, but we've bought a lot of properties over the counter from several different counties over the years. And it's, there's different processes when you do that. My attorney that I got into it with a few years ago that used to do all of our quiet titles and everything else, he retired about 3 years ago, and I've been kind of floundering. So I'm actually looking at doing some of my own quiet titles. I know that I talked to some of the I talked to the administrator here, up in Farmington and in Madison County, and you can do them for yourself. You just can't do them for somebody else. And I think I know a lot about the tax sale process, you know, about the quiet title and the tax sale processes, because we've done about 3,000 of them over the years, all these little deals, but they're, you know, it's not as complicated as it seems to be if you just read the, you know, read the legislation. So it's, and I find that a lot with a lot of the legal stuff. It sounds more complicated than it is once you get into it, but you do got to make sure that you dot all the I's and cross all the T's, because you don't want to be wrong on some of that stuff, because they can come back and it can come back to bite you. So it'll be interesting. I can't wait to share that. I don't know, has anybody ever been to Gladstone, Missouri? No, I haven't either. So we'll let you know about that. Okay, anybody have anything they're working on right now they want to buy and sell? Or any projects you're working on? No? Just a bunch of smiling
Doug's
faces?
just working on his, about that.
I'm sorry?
Which one?
Doug's working on his never-ending rehab,
Yeah.
but not too much other news to report on.
What in particular are you working on, Doug?
It's like a baby junior of the Winchester Mystery House in California. It goes to nowhere and it doesn't get done, and it's totally incomplete now. We actually had most of the infrastructure done, the new piping coming from the street, or the new water line into the street, from the street into the building, all new pipeline, all new electrical and PEX on 2 units, one half of the fourplex. And then, of course, before the inspector could get there, crime hit us in the night and took all of the metal and the wiring and everything. So we had to start all over again. So we just got signed off on those 2 units, and now we're to the stage of putting it together to make it ready for the next occupancy inspection stage. We're only doing 2 units on one side because of, unless you have somebody living in the unit. We do have surveillance on the property now, but crime don't care if they're being filmed, watched. Law enforcement don't respond adequately, quick enough, but we're taking deterrence. So that's where we are on that one.
Yeah, where's that at, Doug?
That's in South City, Michigan area.
South City, Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan, Bates area.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right about the crime though, too. It doesn't matter what neighborhood it's in. I mean, that stuff happens everywhere. It's really unfortunate. There's a lot more challenges. And that's a 4-family, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to get somebody in there. It's
Right.
nice that you can do occupancy on part of it and not the whole thing. Because I've
Right.
had some places where you had to get the whole thing ready, and it can be very challenging.
And that could soon change. You never know. They're starting to enforce a lot of things that have passed legislative and so forth, and the UBC codes from years prior, but now they're coming into actual enforcement.
Mm. Well, we definitely wish you the best on that. Those are very challenging, and I know how the mystery houses are. Some of them just the money just disappears. I don't know where it goes, but it
Right.
goes somewhere out of my pocket. Yeah, I've had a few of those. We have one right now that's kind of challenging too.
So it looks like you're in beautiful Lake Tahoe, where we're from, with the pine trees behind you.
We're actually in beautiful Mine Lamont, Missouri. This is our place right here. I don't know if there's pine trees, but there's a lot of oaks and a lot of other things. All right. Anybody else got anything they'd like to share with us? Anything you're working on? Anything you're looking to
Hey.
buy?
Hey, John, who's the speaker next Tuesday?
That's Catherine Davis, our attorney.
Okay,
And then we have also Jim Siebert, who's a cleaning and restoration guy. So it ought to be really good. It's you know, Kathy's always entertaining. She's not only is she knowledgeable and smart, she's always entertaining too, and she can It's kind of funny because she can have a sense of humor sometimes in the driest and the most what I think is unfun things, because a lot of legal things are not as much fun as they could be. That's my opinion though, but that's why I'm not an attorney, So then I was just looking here. Let's see. The next month, then I'll go ahead and just see what we got here. We have what's her name? Nikki is a communication, I don't have her last name here, communication specialist. And then Jason Diekman, who's a window guy. He's going to have a neat little demonstration. I seen him at a trade show, I don't know, a couple months ago. He takes a blowtorch and puts it right on his windows and puts it on there for a while and shows how they do not really heat up on the other side. It's really interesting technology, and they don't melt, which is very interesting. So I'm not sure what they're made of, but I'm very curious to hear a little bit more detail about what he's got going on. So that's in July. And then later in the year, we got a few other things planned, but I don't want to go ahead and get ahead of myself because things change a lot when it comes down to it. In fact, a lot of the things I don't even like to announce until we're ready to put it in the newsletter, because I've had to change things after I did my write-ups many times to send out the newsletter. So you just never know what we're going to have, but that keeps it interesting.
I want to hear from Laura Lennington, how her deal in High Ridge. What's going on with that one? You there, Laura?
Yeah, I see her on there.
She might be driving.
Yeah, I know she was busy. She had some things going on at home personally, so it could be something like that. All right. Anybody else got anything they'd like to share with us today? Anybody else have any mystery houses? Mystery mansions, I guess I should say.
Everybody's pretty quiet today, John.
They sure are. They sure are, Jay.
Okay, we have another question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Judge.
Oh, so can anybody enlighten me? We're on another property manager, and the one previous had pretty much marketed and told our tenants without telling us prior, we want the rents from our tenants, right? But we don't want to be the outlet for marketing and for other entities to come in and take the income stream, interfere with the income stream from tenants. But they enforced upon our tenants, saying that it was mandatory for a service package or a tenant package.
Resident benefit package.
Resident benefit package. And as good as it sounds like it might be something, but I'm also told that they also have the option that you can, if you are a vehicle owner and you have insurance of your own, that you can do this and get it on your own, get it cheaper. But apparently our property managers were telling them that it was mandatory, that they had to have it. I disagree with that. And I kind of want to know if anybody knows how this started, who originated it, and is it a law and is it enforceable when?
And where does it take priority in the monthly payments that the tenants submit? Like for
I think you kind of
for
froze up
example,
there.
if they permanently pay rent.
I think we kind of lost your connection for a second there, Ann. What was that last part you just said?
For example, if the rent is 700, but the tenant only makes a payment of 600, does the property manager get to take their cut first before our rent payment? Where does the priority fit in with all this?
Wow. Okay. That's a great question. Actually, that would be a really good one for Kathy on Tuesday. I don't know, where is that in St. Louis that they're telling
Yes,
you that?
it is. Yes, it is. And
I've
it's
never-
becoming, when we were interviewing property managers, it sounds like almost at least everyone in South City requires that now.
Wow, that's the first I've heard of that, and that would be a good question for Dave Soto, our Stacy, and I don't see either one of them here right now. Boy, I don't know if that would be mandatory or not. I don't know of any laws or statutes like that. Um, Very interesting question though. Does anybody know anything about that?
Well, nobody seems to be able to provide us with any written documentation to it. They just collect $50 for it. And I'm sure that's great in the pockets of the insurance holder. And we don't even know if we're named as additionally insured on the policy, if it is a policy, or is it just another revenue maker for the income of the property manager. But all I know is that it does affect the attitudes of our tenants. They think we're gouging them with rent raises because a lot of them just sign it and accept it. They don't know nothing about it. And we're getting the after effect of that. It's just not real pleasant, but we feel, I mean, I personally feel that it's something that don't market with our tenants. We approved them on the 3 times of the rent income. You can come in, you reside here, enjoy peaceful living. But to be told that you mandatory have to come up with another $50 and that it's mandatory, I kind of have a problem with that. I mean, they're not even telling them the option that they can get this through their own private insurance, vehicular insurance coverage
For
or
the
anything.
renter's insurance part of it.
Kind of like storage units. Storage units will say, hey, you have a right to get a policy for in case of break-ins or Mother Nature. You can get a sub-renter's policy to cover your loss of items. But that's not the case on this one.
That's first I've heard of that, but that, there's a lot of things I haven't heard of. Does anybody know anything about that? That's, it almost sounds like it is a little misleading.
Yeah, it sounds like they would need licensing for that, and I don't know if they have that. So there's 2 other possibilities. You could call the licensing division of the state and say the property managers need a license to sell insurance to tenants that they don't know otherwise. And you could also call the insurance commission and see if they've heard of anything, know anything about it. But like you said, hopefully Kathy would know something come Tuesday, and you could ask her.
That's a great point, Bruce. Yeah, you could always call the State Department, I'd even call them the real estate department, just ask them, tell them that's what you come up with, because they're the ones that license all that. But that's a good point too, Bruce, on being insurance licensed, because you're not even really supposed to talk about this stuff if you're not licensed as far as presenting it for sale. So, I mean, there's some fine lines on there. So I don't know. That's a great question though for Kathy. And do you have a lot of tenants, Doug, again, that's affecting right now?
Well, apparently it had been going on for almost a year and possibly even more at certain stages of our tenants renewing their leases. And again, it was not brought to our attention. And you kind of, every time I start getting attitude from tenants or I start getting excessive service calls, I always call and inquire on the ledger. Are they behind on rent or are they up for a lease renewal? Because there's always something that steers it. And this happens to be the one thing that we found out was the majority of the problems we were having was that they thought we were gouging them and we didn't know anything about the policy and the enforcement of it. And now that we know, we weren't happy. We're not happy about it at all. So I think that it's something as a consumer beware thing. I think the tenant should have the option to purchase that. And if it's mandatory, I want to know how and who's supposed to enforce that. But I don't think it should be on our contract with our property manager. And I don't think they should be marketing off of our tenants. We hire the property manager to render the services of property management, not to start getting into their income stream and marketing. Somebody tells me why, because we have insurance, we have mishap insurance. We don't understand this additional.
Well, they need renter's insurance though.
But even if it's renter's insurance, it's not being presented to them on a separate contract. It shouldn't be merged with our contract with the property manager or our contract with our tenants. It should be a side thing and it should be an option for the tenants is how I feel about it.
Well, $50 a month is a lot of money for renter's insurance too. I mean, I have never seen one that high.
Yeah, it's a combination. It's a whole package deal.
I mean,
Renter's insurance is just one of those. The other things, it says If the tenants pay rent on time, the property manager will report that to the credit bureau, so it will help the tenants increase their credit score. It helps cover the property manager's cost of having their software portals.
Okay.
I can't remember what else was on that right now. Another thing I learned, I went to a property management conference a couple weeks ago back in Nevada. And I can't remember if this was the topic or something else, but we were informed that if that property managers need to inform owners of any other source of income. So for example, to the property manager, this would be a source of income. So in Nevada, it's mandatory that, if we owned property there, we would have had to been told. And I don't know if that's mandatory here, but like Doug said, it came out of nowhere for us.
And that comes up on the renewals with your tenants? Is that where
Yes.
you found that out mainly? Huh.
Yes.
Very interesting. I've never heard of that. I don't know. You'd think we would have heard something on that if that was the case. What does your contract say with the management company? Is there anything in there where they could add things like that?
No,
Well, we just changed management companies too.
Okay, yeah. Look at your
And
contract.
this being one of the reasons, because the previous company did this without our knowledge.
Wow. And then the new company is the same way, you say?
Yeah, pretty much everyone when I was interviewing.
Wow. Yeah, that's news to me, but I don't know. That'd be a great question for Catherine Davis though on Tuesday.
And like you said, John, since Dave Soto and Stacy, well, Dave is real estate, property management, and doing the legislature thing. He may have more knowledge actually than Kathy about all this if he's been involved with any of that.
Mhm.
So you might want to call him directly too.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would definitely get some answers on that because if that's the case, you're going to want to let your tenants know that going into it. Because $50 a month, I mean, that's a chunk for a lot of tenants.
it's a lot of attitudes.
Right. Well, it's friction points you don't need either, Doug. I
Right.
mean, I could see that just being a whole thing in itself. I personally don't like springing anything on people. I don't care if it's, what it is, but just surprises like that are never good.
Right. And a lot of tenants don't know to question those things. They just assume it's a rent raise at the lease renewal. Because one, the tenants will get shocked when they get a letter 3 months before their lease renewal. They'll get a letter that says, if you wish to remain for another year, your rent's $700. If you wish to stay month to month, it's $750 or $850 or whatever. So when they do sign a new lease, they just assume that the $50 is the new rent raise, but it's not disclosed, or they might
just
have
don't
it,
read it.
they don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody's educating them. And because nobody's interacting and everything is pretty much getting to hands off, there's no person to person interaction anymore. It's all through a portal. They don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Customer service is not what it used to be. And unfortunately, most people don't even want the customer service. I just seen a thing the other day, a marketing thing I was on, where it's like 86% of the people out there would rather do it on a portal than deal with customer service, a person one-on-one, which was amazing to me. But that's how you don't find this stuff out because you don't have anybody to talk to anymore. I get frustrated myself trying to find out just simple answers sometimes for questions. And so, well, that'd be real interesting to find that out. So please let us know that, Ann and Doug. And that was called a resident benefit package, I think you said?
That's correct.
Okay.
What did he ask?
50. Okay. Well, yeah, we need to find out about that. That's for sure. All right. Well, good conversations there. We're gonna definitely got some stuff to look at here. Anybody have anything they'd like to buy or sell today? No, the market seems kind of stagnant in a lot of areas. I know there is a lot of activity, a lot of things going on. I just seen this morning where somebody had a property in O'Fallon that she just listed and they bid it up way over the asking price, which was, I haven't seen that in a while. I guess it could depend on the neighborhood or what some of the other details are.
Okay, I do have am I on?
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
Yes, you're there.
All right, I got a subject we can talk about maybe. Empty lots, vacant lots in between other structures and buildings. We have several. And I'm not seeing much activity. One area I did see where somebody is doing a new build. And sure, I think it's kind of chancy. I mean, if the rest of the block is deteriorating and so forth, falling apart, but does anybody know the simplicity, or is anybody doing any new construction on lots, or does anybody know the feasibility of doing that?
Is it in city limits?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to go by whatever their codes are. Have you talked to the people doing the builds?
You know, I do, but I always pull over. That's where I get my greatest resources, is pulling over, shaking hands and walking up to people and see who they work for or who they are and what they're doing and how's it going. So yeah, that's the best thing to do. They're working, you know. but
Exactly.
no, most of them are working for unknown entities, LLCs, and they don't know the true. So they're just on contract hire. So sometimes you get information, sometimes you don't.
Mhm. They are working though, like you said, Doug. I get a lot of information from people right on site too. These are lots that you own and you're looking to do something with them?
Possibly. That's why I was wondering if anybody else has played with lots, or if they're just sitting on them and mowing them, or if they're looking to build on them, or if they're selling them and what they're going for.
Well, are you mowing them right now? That's the question I was going to ask, because they do come with responsibility, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Mhm. You know, there's a lot of things. What we've done, I've done a lot of lots and empty properties over the years. In fact, I've done more of them than houses by far. And there's a lot of good strategies. You know, that's why I ask if you talk to the people first. And of course, you do, which is perfect. You can also look up on the record, see who owns the properties adjoining. I've sold a lot of properties to the neighbors. And in fact, I still do a lot of that. I'll do financing on them too. Like, let's just say, for example, like the lot, I'm just going to throw a number out there because they're all different, but let's say it's worth $5,000, you know, just like it is. I'll sell them a lot of times to the neighbors for maybe $20,000 at $50 a month or $99 a month, or, you know, after talking to them, see what they can do. And I've bought a lot of those like over the counter at tax sale, you know, after the tax sales from the counties themselves. The danger with that is sometimes the neighbors have already been cutting the grass and they get mad and they will quit as soon as they find out that they don't have access to it anymore. So that's one of the dangers of offering it to one of the neighbors. But I've sold a lot of them over the years. In fact, I got a lot of them that come in right now, and it's not a get rich quick thing, but you can sell your property for 3 to 10 times more than what it's worth, at least on a retail basis, on a small monthly amount, and get somebody else to take care of it, and you still own the property.
Right, I like that, the idea of doing an OWC where you're financing them, and it gives them a sense of pride and ownership. And if it releases us of the responsibility of mowing, or having to clean up the dump when people, you know, do some dumping on them, alley dumpers, I call them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of good strategies you can use like that, though. As far as new construction, we've done very limited amount of that for several reasons. But one thing is today it's really hard to even judge what it's going to cost you, you know, because a lot of the things in the last couple of years have changed so much, where you'll go into it, you know, with what one cost is, but then by the time you actually get there 3 months later, you know, because of supply issues or whatever, there's a lot of different things. A lot of times they just go, you know, they'll all of a sudden double or triple the price on you. And that can be a big deterrent. I personally like other people paying for my stuff, kind of like that though. And, you know, I have a lot of properties that we do finance like that, low amounts. And, you know, one of the things I've seen a lot out there is people will say, no, you can't do anything until it's paid for. I encourage everybody to go ahead and build, make it nice, build the house you want. You know, we have some cabins and stuff that people have put on some properties that they're still paying us a small monthly amount on, but technically you really own it, you know, because until it's completely paid for and you're satisfied, you don't transfer the deed anyway, completely. So, I mean, I really like that a lot better than even the rental properties that we had over the years, is like financing the stuff, because I don't have the day-to-day headaches as far as cutting the grass and dealing with the city and some of them other stuff. Now, that's not 100% correct, because you do still have some things, and there are some that, it's like everything. 10% of the people, they go bad no matter what. And I don't know what it is. Sometimes it's the people you think that are the best that do. You just don't have no control over it. But you do have a lot more say so when you do own the property, but somebody else is paying for it, at least in my opinion. So, I mean, that's something you could try though, Doug. You could just look them up and just see see if you can find the neighbors too, though, because sometimes, especially in the city lots, the people are like, if there's a place next to one of yours and maybe that is one of the dumps that people are going to, sometimes the owners are hard to find.
Well, I know several years ago when I did inquire with the city, because I did have an opportunity, Laura and I worked on a deal, and my intent was to buy the 2 adjoining lots. Kara Spencer did me amazing reaction on getting rid of 2 and deconstructing 2 troubled properties next to mine. And my intent was to turn around and buy that, but that never went through because, one, I had to wait a period of time for the deconstruction, and then for them to give it value, for the city to sign off, and then give it to the LRA, and then I could buy through them. By then, the price was way out. The inquiry was known. They knew my intent, that I wanted it, and that probably increased the price on it. I should have just stayed hush hush, and I should have jumped on what they had at the time was a mow to own program, so that if you mowed it for a year or 2, then eventually at the end of that, if no problems, that you could purchase the title, the deed to the land for something ridiculous, like $100 or something like that, since you've been caring for it and taking care of it. But that didn't happen. And Laura and I ended up selling the home. So I don't know what it would be now. That's why I was inquiring.
Yeah, that's what you brought up a good point there, Doug, because if you do act like you have some interest in them, all of a sudden everything changes. Where something is totally useless, and then when they see you're interested in it, then it goes up. I've had, talked to people that bought stuff from like St. Louis County like that, even over the counter. They'll make a bid on the property, and then once they find out, they'll send somebody out, and then all of a sudden the price is three times more or 5 times more than what they even owed in taxes, which in my opinion is ridiculous. If you can find the owner, and one of the things you have to look at though is what's actually tied up, if the city has liens on it or the state does, because you can get a lot of those properties for free if you just find the owners. I've gotten, I don't know how many properties free over the years, houses and everything, and I just ask them. Just here's the deed. I'm interested in taking over your property, paying the back. Usually what I'll do is I'll say, I'll pay the back taxes for you, and any future cost as far as liens, as far as homeowner association, property owner association. I'm real careful not to say I'll pay any back association fees, because some of them are quite substantial and they can be deal breakers. Now, most associations will waive that also. I've met with several of them over the years, and I just tell them, hey, look, that's how I actually started doing a lot of these. I said, look, this is what I've done in other neighborhoods. I can get this back on the tax roll. I can get it into a paying situation, get the association dues paid in the future, but I can't do anything for what the past guy did, or whoever it was. I cannot do that. But what I can do is for the future. And I've had a couple of them that said no over the years, and guess what? They still got all them properties that I would have sold, that I would have bought and sold. They're still on the books. But most of them will say, yeah, with them, it makes sense. I've actually had to go to the meetings, though, the property association meetings, and just show them, this is what I do, and most of them are pretty reasonable, though. Because most of them are with the associations too, are not paid positions. They're usually volunteers too. And they truly go in there with the intention of making the neighborhoods better. That's another reason there's a big turnover in associations, because every 2 or 3 years when they come up for renewal, people go in there with great intentions, and then they get beat up by everybody, it seems like, and they cannot wait to get the heck out of there. That's really common. So that's another thing too. You have to kind of go in there when people are fresh and they want to make the community better, but they'll do that for you a lot of times. But the owners, that's how you get free properties. You just ask them. If you can find them, and then there's a couple of things that, you can use truepeoplesearch.com and some of that. You can look up some of those and find out email addresses or possible relatives. I've found spouses that have passed away, that people were divorced, and then that's another little process. You have to get an affidavit as of to death, but it's really not that hard. to do that. And free properties are a lot more plentiful out there than people think. So that's just something you might want to think about and look at. But vacant lots are something I love. That's always a good way to make some good cash flow and and building is another story though, as far as building new construction. But sometimes when you have one of those mystery mansions, it might be less money to build new than it is to fix the existing. Had that come up too. All right, lots of good conversation today. And what you got something there, Bruce? What is this? Burned out says.
Yeah, there were two places. There was a place on Morganford, like 2 houses down from the school at Morganford and Delore, that was burnt out, and I think it sat for a good while. But now they've built a new home, and I think that's new within the past year. I don't know if it was the former owners or somebody bought it out and rebuilt. So there's a new home built there. And also there was a lot on Giles, like a half block north of Gravois, on the west side, that was a vacant lot for years. And somebody's in the middle of building something there. So I don't know if that was something Doug would be interested in talking about or asking those people about too, asking, about whether it's worth it to build a new home. If the other one got insurance, then that was probably a lot easier for them. But I don't know about the one on Giles. Like I said, it was vacant for years, so that appears to be a brand new, completely brand new thing that somebody went in. In fact, I just looked it up on the city records, and it's an LLC. I think Doug knows how to look up who the owners are for properties on the St. Louis records if he wants to check on that too.
Yeah, it's always good. Great point, Bruce. If you can find the owner, the guy that actually built it, or I say guy, it could be a gal, it could be anybody, but the person's, the entity that built it, because they will know everything you had to go through. And some of the burnouts are some of the tougher ones too. So those are always good people to talk to. And one of the nice things about the city lots compared to some of the other ones, the rural lots and some of the ones we've dealt with, is they already got their utilities all in place. It's a matter of hooking them up. I know one of the things that we have to look for too with some of the city lots is the sewer charges, back sewer charges. It used to be that you could negotiate with MSD, Metropolitan Sewer District, and they would waive a lot of those, or they would actually give you a payoff on, that weren't quite like that. But I know a lot of them now. We just sold a house in Hazelwood not too long ago, and one of the things, even though the water had been shut off for a while, MSD still charges you every month. So that $28 or whatever it was, that accumulated for back the last few years without anybody paying it. And that was no negotiation at all. In fact, even after we went to the title company to close on that house, they even tacked on it was like an extra $500 they said for legal fees that they didn't even tell us about in the payoffs. It was like $500 and $55 or something like that, which I wasn't real happy about, but you're not selling your house if you don't take care of them. And it used to be, I know you could negotiate with them years ago when I was a mortgage broker. We negotiate with MSD a lot on that kind of stuff. But nowadays it's good to know all that going into it, because that can be a deal breaker. If somebody hasn't been paying just the sewer bills alone for 10 years, that could be several $1,000s. Yeah, I don't know if Doug's still here. Looks like we might have lost him there. I know they had some connection was not the greatest, but it never is. All right. Anybody else got anything they'd like to talk about today or share with us anyway? No, just a reminder, bring all your questions, and we're going to try to do a little bit better on the Zoom on Tuesdays. It's been really challenging to try to get people on Zoom with their questions and stuff. And I know it's also kind of challenging the people in the room waiting for the microphone when they have questions. So we've been working with our tech guy on that, and Chris and Mike are both really good, the people we have there that are working with us on there, but it is a little challenging now and then. I know they got a new system not too long ago. So that's something we're constantly working on, and we make it a little bit better all the time. Every time's a little bit better. And we do put the replays. They're always, of course, in the on the member section at STLREIA.com. And we put them on YouTube. So just like the recordings here, any of the networking sessions, my rule to myself is always to have them up by midnight. And I usually get them up before then, but I say midnight because it's my rule is to get it done before I go to bed, because tomorrow always brings other stuff that needs to be done. So that way, and in fact, a couple weeks ago, it kind of slipped my mind. I was looking at my notes right before I went to bed, and it was about 1:30, but I got it on there. So it wasn't quite midnight, but it was midnight somewhere. So we did get it on there. All right. Anybody have anything else today? A lot of good conversations, a lot of good things. Looking for a Spanish translator. We got some money. We got wondering about that resident benefit package. That's going to be interesting to find out about that. That's first I heard of that, but apparently it's been going on for a while. So we'll see if we can't get some answers on that too. All right. Well, anybody else got anything? Otherwise, I guess we could call it a day, and we'll look forward till next week. Like I said, I will not be here. I don't know who will be, but we'll definitely have it going. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Any last minute words from anybody? No. All right. We all have a good weekend and a good week, and we will see you on Tuesday. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.